That someday I'd like to maybe lose everything for a period of time to see who's loyal and who's not loyal. And frankly, I found out a lot of things.
Did you find out who's loyal and not loyal?
I tell you what, and you can't guess it. You can't predict it. You think certain people would be loyal no matter what, and it turns out that they're not, and you just can't predict it.
Politician to listen very, very closely to the words I am about to say. The time for action has come. Corruption has reached a level like never ever before in our country. Things have to change, and they have to change right now.
Good evening, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is the RHeretic, and I wanted to talk to you today about some thoughts I had on this presidential election. I did warn you that something needed to be done, but alas, here we are, and I say we need to move forward. But before we do, I just have a few words I'd like to share. To the victors of this illegitimate election, I say, congratulations. The only way you could prove that you could win was by force, intimidation, and media manipulation. Now, you may lie to yourself and say the other side are sore losers, but you will know soon enough. You will see what we see, but it will be too late. You don't cheat an election out of 80 million voters, including military, veterans, and a nation with a gun rights clause in their constitution, and expect to see a smooth transition. To those who voted based on reasons of race and gender, rather than economic policies, foreign policies, or just all-around patriotism, know that you were played like a fiddle, just like what was done in all authoritarian governments. You cannot see it yet, but you will. I'm not a very religious person, but I am thankful that by the grace of God, I have managed to end up in China, the land of America's new vassal state. However, I will watch with dismay as my nation, the one I grew up in, the one I wished for my daughter to grow up in, collapses into a state akin to the Weimar Republic. Now, for those who do not know, the Weimar Republic was what preceded Nazi Germany, and for all the generalizations we make about how Nazis came to power, it was the Weimar Republic that set it in motion. Decadence, degeneracy, government corruption, poverty, hyperinflation, these things never lead to good outcomes, especially not when you had it so good under the previous guy. And there's serious questions about the legitimacy of the current guy. But alas, what truly saddens me is what comes after the Weimar Republic. It's not a good future for America. We are a nation of immigrants. That means immigrants of all backgrounds, as long as they can contribute meaningfully to society. My family is a perfect example. Nurses, doctors, individuals who serve in the military, they've truly contributed to the American dream. But alas, they were also fooled. And for all of my immigrant friends and family who voted for Biden because you feared Trump would deport your friends or you, just remember that American citizens, black, brown, yellow, and white, will remember that and react accordingly once they reach the tipping point of our own version of the Weimar Republic. Just like Germans reached their tipping point when hundreds of thousands of refugees came in from other countries, despite Germany's inability to support its own citizens. Every non-German was persecuted, and it never stopped. I'm truly saddened for my family, for the US economy, and for the future of this world. But I want to offer some hope to those who feel as demoralized as I do, to those who feel the need for vengeance, to those who want to watch the system burn down. Know that there is a better way. Know that our enemy has shown their true colors. They have shown it when they lie about the occupation of Capitol Hill being violent and deadly, after pretending that the summer riots were peaceful protests. They reveal their lies when they refuse to hear testimony about voter fraud, and instead dismiss the cases on procedural grounds. They reveal their lies when they can't be bothered to fill an inauguration with people, and so instead they fill it with flags and put together a convoluted explanation that the government was under threat from violent MAGA supporters who have shown no indication of violence thus far. They lie when they request over 25,000 troops to protect the most legitimate and popular president in American history. Through their social media platforms, they are forced to silence us because they know that we have seen under the mask and cannot unsee what we have seen. They lie to us because they still fear us. This is the behavior of a cornered animal who may still have claws and may still have teeth, but is backed into a corner. The ones who rule you, they fear the American people and the tens of millions who have woken up to their lies. Do not let their lies demoralize you, but do not respond in kind to the violence they are begging you to commit. The violence they will use to justify more harsh crackdowns. If they want to exclude 80 million people from the conversation, I say fine. That way, they won't see what's coming when the time comes for us to take back our nation. Instead, find other avenues of communication. Find other venues to express yourselves. Instead of using the town hall forum on Twitter, find actual town halls. Invest in other platforms. Pay for subscriptions so that developers are not beholden to advertisers. But most importantly, and this is a crucial aspect, for those who are stateside, what is most important right now is to create a movement full of peace and unity, not with the enemy, but with the victims of the enemy. They will try to use our hate and anger at being cheated against us. They will go after us. They will create laws to ban us because they fear us. But do not let it stop you from spreading the movement. Debunk the media narrative at every turn. Show charity to those who hate you. Again, not your enemy, but the victims of your enemy. The victims who are tortured through fear to hate you as to avoid being persecuted themselves. As for the establishment, let them feel victorious in their cause. Let them become complacent and comfortable, as we did under a Trump presidency. And if they don't become complacent, this is also a win, as their suspicion will lead to more authoritarian rule, and thus more Americans waking up.
You Trumpers, be careful. Walk lightly. We ain't playing with you. Enough of the shenanigans. Enough is enough. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it. Do it right. be in order. Make them pay. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it. Do it right. Be in order. Make them pay. I love y'all. Bye-bye.
Mao Zedong, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, although they were commies, and I don't agree with their ideologies, I do agree with their approach to spreading their ideology. They rarely fought with bullets. Instead, they fought with the people's hearts and minds. They went into towns forgotten by their governments and helped them, and in doing so, gained more followers. They spoke with people, they communicated, they offered protection, and so I say, do the same. Places like Chicago, Baltimore, Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Francisco, these places have been forgotten by our government, but they've also been forgotten by us. One of the greatest things that Trump supporters need to take responsibility for is the fact that we sat and laughed at the democratic incompetence in these places. But did we help? Were we there? How can you expect those demoralized people to not rig their own elections when by not taking notice and not involving ourselves, we contributed to their demoralization? We contributed to their desperation. It is just as much our fault as the fault of our government for allowing these things to happen, for allowing a man like Joe Biden to win. As Americans, we are a people who ideologically reject government rule, while simultaneously mocking them for not doing their job. That makes no goddamn sense. We must stop this hypocrisy. While the government continues to persecute MAGA, let us be the ones who go forth into communities like Chicago and Baltimore and Los Angeles and San Francisco. The government does not work for you, it works for itself now. It's what led to the first revolution. And while I do not advocate for violence, I do say that we must take into account how the first revolution was won and respond accordingly using modern warfare tactics. Most specifically, gaining the hearts and minds of the victims of our enemies. This is how we fight back. My name is the RHeretic. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
Do you want to go back to them or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Fuck Joe Biden.